welcome back to Shelabobby Handmade. My name is Caitlin, known just about everywhere on the internet as Shelabobby, and this is my podcast where I talk about knitting, crochet, other fiber fun. And today we have a little bit of everything. We have acquisitions, we have plans, we have works in progress, we have finished objects, and yeah, so let's get into the thick of it. I planned to quite a bit to talk about, so if today's a long one, you'll know before I do because you can see the time on the video itself, but hopefully this one has quite a bit of content for you, including some summer sock camp plans. So, let's get started with some finished objects, and today is a little bit of a weird one because I don't have the majority of my finished objects with me. I have 4 in total, and I only have 1 in person with me. That is because the other 3 were gifts and have already been gifted and are at their recipient's location. So, I have pictures of them though, so I will put the pictures up on this side today. And I will show you the finished objects the best I can in that way. The reason I laugh at that is because my grandma's socks are first. So these are my socks that I gifted to my grandmother for Mother's Day, and so that is why they are no longer with me. They are with my grandma, and I forgot to take pictures of them. So you only have the bottoms of the socks with their stock and stop on them on her counter. They are not the most glorious picture, but I do have the yarn here with me to show you in more detail. So these are a free pattern by Kay Litton, or also known as the Crazy Sock Lady here on YouTube. And this pattern is a free DK weight vanilla sock pattern, and that's the counts that I used. I used the large stitch count size, and I always put what is called stock and stop, which I'll have linked down below, which is basically a fabric paint that gets the sticky, not even sticky, rubbery stuff on the bottom of socks to keep them from slipping on hardwood floors or slippery surfaces. And my grandmother has vinyl flooring in her house, in the majority of her house, so for her to be able to be safe and wear them, I put the stock and stop on the bottom of her socks. So that is what you see on the bottom of this picture is stock and stop, which is just little dots to keep her socks from slipping. The yarn that I used is the Fiber Seed in the colorway Crabs, and I used just about the entire skein. I'm going to say there's probably 20 grams here. This will be used for mini socks near Christmas to put as little keychains. Here's the tag if you want to know more of the details on it. Really wants to focus on my watch. There we go. And this was from my stash. I actually had pulled it to make it for her birthday, which is in June, and so I had planned to knit them up during summer sock camp, but Mother's Day came up quickly, and so decided to do that instead. Let's see. I cast these on May 10th, finished them May 11th, gifted them on May 12th. So they were very, very quick, very quick knit, and are being worn by her. Not as we speak, because she's at Walmart. She's not wearing them at Walmart, but she has them and is enjoying them. So I'm going to pop my leftovers back in there so that I will have them later to put away into my DK scraps. I almost said straps. That's not even the right word. Alright, so the next one that I did, I can't remember if I talked about this on the podcast 2 weeks ago or if this has come up since then, but my nephew went to school, and in the school they had like an incentive, I guess, to be a positive person, you know, helpful, friendly, all that good stuff. And it was a little crocheted potato called a positivity potato. And he, I guess, was trying to win it that day, and instead, his arch nemesis in school got it instead of him, and so he was a little bit down that day. But he was mentioning it to me, and I said, well, do you need your own positivity potato, like, that you can have and keep forever? And he was like, would you make me one? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And I was like, what size do you want? Do you want a teeny tiny one? Do you want a medium-sized one? Do you want a ginormous one? And he said, well, could I have it as, like, a pillow? And I was like, yeah, I'll make you one. So I hopped on to Hobby Lobby and ordered some Eternal Bliss yarn. And this is Josiah's positivity potato. It is currently at his house. The day that it was done, he took it home, so I grabbed some pictures of it. So you'll see picture of him holding it and then it chilling in the grass. So like I said, this is Yarn Bee's Eternal Bliss yarn, and the colorway is taupe that I used for his potato. The eyes are just, I think I love this yarn in black, and loops and threads acrylic, impeccable acrylic in white. So just use a tutorial on YouTube on how to make these little eyeballs that are cute, and sewed those on. And I am still terrible at sewing on mouths, but it does have a mouth. So yeah, so that is the other finished project. I used a 25mm hook to crochet this. I bought a 19 and a 25, unsure of my tension, and so I used 25 for this particular project. I started it on May 7th and finished it on May 15th. The long period of time is I ripped it out a couple of times because I was trying to use a pattern that already existed, and it just wasn't working for the weight of yarn that I was using and how big I wanted it to be and how much yarn I had purchased. So I had to rip it out a couple times until I wound up with this shape. And then I also did not purchase the stuffing, which is 2 pillows from the dollar store, until the 14th. So that is why it took a little bit longer to completely finish, because I had to stuff it with pillows. So that is the second finished object that I have, and that leads right into the third finished object that is also not here, which is a pet rock made out of the same yarn. So here is a picture of that pet rock, and this is for my other nephew, Levi. He heard about the positivity potato and was kind of interested in getting something as well, and so I asked him, well, instead of a potato, would you like a pet rock? Because that sounded pretty cool. And he said yes. So this is the pet rock. I grabbed the same Eternal Bliss Yarn Bee yarn, and the colorway is medium gray is the one that I used for this one. Made the same eyes, made the same face. So it is about the same. The pillow is also from the dollar store, Dollar Tree, the $5 section. There was like a 22-inch circle. So that is what is stuffing this one. I cast it on May 12th and finished it May 16th. So not too long. Again, it was finished on the 16th because I had to wait for the stuffing. And also I sewed on the eyes on the 16th. And so that is when it was completely finished. So those are the 3 finished objects that I do not have with me because they are already with their recipients. But I do have a pair of socks finished. So I have one on a blocker, one not on a blocker, because I want to show you the pattern on the one since it's only on the front. So these are the Arrowroot socks, and you have seen these, I think, in 2 podcasts now. And they are made out of Long Dog Yarns, Yarn of Enchantment, which is a monthly subscription yarn. And I always get it wrong where she is. And so let me read this one and see if it gives me any of the information. New Mexico. I forget it every time. New Mexico, which is inspirations from New Mexico. And this one is, I always say pinyon pine or pion pie. Pion pine. Not sure exactly how you pronounce it, but it is listed here on the screen. But this is the national tree. And this is the mini that came with it. And then the main color. This is on her tweed sock base, which I don't have the tag with me, but it is 100% merino or 190% merino, 10% neps. Anyway, it doesn't have any nylon in it, but it has held up really well on the socks that I have used. So this is for my sister. And the pattern, and I'm just going to stick my hand up in this one. The pattern is Arrowroot Socks by Kelly Menzies. also known as Roro and Cades here on YouTube. And I really enjoyed the pattern that it looked like a tree. The pattern that is on there, that texture. And so that is the reason why I chose it for these. Now, this yarn is pretty textured because it is a tweed, and I think it's like a 2-ply, so it's a very, very textured sock or yarn, so you can see that on the bottom of the sock. And so I didn't really take that into consideration when picking the pattern, but I think it turned out well. It is still a very beautiful sock, even though you can't see that texture of the pattern, flawlessly. But it is going to be gifted to my sister because I cannot get it over my ankle, and so it will go into my sister's pile. Currently, my sister has the January socks from Long Dog Yarns, Yarn of Enchantment, and she has the February socks, which is the pinion pie. I keep saying pie. It's a pie now. There we go. So those are going to go into her gift box of socks so that I can give her those. And it is likely that she's going to get some more of the monthly yarns. It may turn out that she gets a pair of socks out of all of them. So that would be fun as well. So those are the finished objects that I have. Did I give you all the information that you needed to know? I think so, other than the dates. So April 20th is when I cast those on, and I cast them off on May 18th. So that is all of the finished objects. So now we'll go into works in progress. And I have a few for you. Most of the work that I did went into the crocheted pet rock and potato and all of that. So most of my work over the past 2 weeks kind of went into those, figuring out the patterns and that sort of thing. But I did do a little bit more work on a couple of other projects, so I will show you those now. Most of them you have seen before, and so I'm not going to go into too many details on it, and you can look on my Ravelry project page if you would like to know more details, such as the colorways that I'm using or anything like that. The first one is my Fragmentation by Stephen West or West Knits, and I have gotten quite a bit of progress. So the last time that you saw it, it was where that rainbow stitch marker is. So I have finished the wedge and cast it off, and I am very happy. Let's see if it'll focus on it. I am very happy with my I-cord there. This is my first time doing I-cord bind off, so happy with that. Nice, neat edge, corner, beautiful, loving it. Ooh, hitting myself with my needles. And I have started the second wedge, which is all twisted. There we go. And I have started the second wedge of the shawl. So this is how the pattern goes. It will stagger the colors by one. So my next color will be white, and it will line up with this coral color. The yarns that I'm using for my fragmentation shawl are Kelbourne Woolens Perennial in various colors, and you can see all of those colors on a previous podcast, or you can see them on the Ravelry project page. I list them all out there. My plan is to use one skein per color, and I did add, just for some modifications, I did add one more color to this, one more stripe. So it is one stripe deeper than what calls for in the pattern. I really want this to be a blanket, so I made it one stripe deeper. I'm using the called for needles, which is size 5. So I'm using the called for needles, and I added one extra strip. However, because of the nature of the perennial, it is going to stretch and grow, and it's going to be a lovely lightweight blanket, but warm, because it has, if I'm not mistaken, it has some alpaca in it, and then wool, of course, and some nylon. So this is where we are at on that. And I will move the marker right now because I don't always work on this, and I will forget it if I pull it out to work on it quickly. So I will move that marker onto that coral stripe so that it is there for the next time. My next work in progress is my Ocean Waves blanket that I'm doing as a commission for my friend. And again, all the details on the colors that I'm using is on the Ravelry project page, or I mentioned them, I think, in the past 2 episodes. Sorry if you could hear that. It sounds like a branch or something fell outside. It's a little bit windy today. So I have, let me see if I can find the correct corner. I have worked on it from this progress keeper here. So I believe that is 6 stripes, 6 rows added since the last time I showed it to you guys. And I'm not too far into that 6 stripe, about a fourth of the way there. You can see the marker. So all of this is I Love This yarn, which is 100% acrylic yarn from Hobby Lobby. I am planning to make this into a queen size blanket, which is 90 by 100, and I am currently still on track for finishing it by Thanksgiving, so all is going well there, and working on it little bit by little bit to continue. I have not sewed in my ends for this past week because I was actually working on it today, so hadn't gotten to sew in the ends just yet. But I will move that marker up so that next time I show it to you guys, you'll see how much progress that I have done. This is kind of an every other day project for me. It's not something that I work on daily just yet. I'm sure as the deadline of Thanksgiving gets closer, I'll pick it up a little bit more, but it's kind of a long-term, slow project, so not expecting to work super quick on that. The pattern is Ocean Waves Blanket by Lauren Brown, and it is a free pattern I used on her blog. You can also purchase it as a PDF if you prefer that version as well. Fairly simple ripple blanket. Loving it. It's going to be a toasty warm blanket for them. All right. The last work in progress that I have 1 sock completed, so I will show you that. These are what I am calling my Karen socks. They are Karen socks because it is using yarn from Karen's stash. So we know that this is a hedgehog fibers colorway, but I am not sure which colorway it is. And then this is just a mini from my stash. So I have 1 completed, and this is going to be socks for myself. And I also believe this is their sock base that's 90-10. So just based on what I've used from hedgehog fibers before, this is their sock base. And then, see if I can find my needles in this bag. No? Okay, there we go. I have the teeniest of starts for the second sock. And I believe I told you guys that the maker is no longer making, and I lied. I was thinking that this was another maker, but this charm is actually from Simply Serving. So they are absolutely still making, and I will link them below. But I don't know why I was so confused last time on who was making this charm. But yes, I have just a couple rows on the cuff started for the second one. So those are all my works in progress, all of my finished objects. And now we get into acquisition and plans. Oh, let me tell you about the bags that these are in. So my blanket lives in this basket right here. So no bag for the Ocean Waves blanket. The fragmentation shawl is in a fat squirrel bag with the little ghosties. And then my Karen socks are in this bunny bag, which is Twist Fiber Studio. I said it many times before. I'm not sure if they're still in business, but that is where my projects are living. All right. Let's get into acquisitions. Quite a few for you today. So I'm going to start with the first one that I got, which I actually mentioned on the last podcast that I was excited for this bag to come in. It is the Fiber Fox, fiberfoxco.uk, and this is the bag of suspicious bunnies. Let me see if I can get the fabric better. It is a bucket type bag, but look at this bunny. She's done something suspicious. She has eaten all of the carrots. She is not sharing them. She is eating them all to herself. So this is a bucket bag from the Fiber Fox, and saw this pattern and said, yep, need that. So it has a drawstring at the top. That drawstring can be tucked inside if you don't want it to be closed. And then it has cute little handles, cute suspicious bunnies, and this will be a staple in summer sock camp because I can throw several different socks in there and tote them around. While I was on that website, they also had beautiful yarn, and so I picked up a DK. See if it'll focus. There we go. I picked up a DK in this dark blue, which is Geralt of Rivia. I always think I say that incorrectly, which is from The Witcher if you are a video game person, or a book, because Witcher is also a book. But this is just a DK skein that I will use to make socks. Most likely, I'll make socks for my grandma for her birthday. And it is 100% superwash merino. So that is what I got from the Fiber Fox. The next one I got is Camp Fiber Yarn. She had a 20% off sale. I don't think it's still going on, but she had a 20% off sale of all of her in-stock yarns. So I jumped on that because I enjoy her soft sock base. So I picked up this colorway, which is called Black Jasper. Her soft sock is 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon, but I like it because it is a 2-ply, so you get that texture if you're using just vanilla socks. Let's see, you can turn that way. There we go. And she is a Canadian dyer, so this says $34, but it was not $34 in US. I also picked up 2 of these, which it's not gonna, there we go, which is called Just a Black, and that is exactly what it is. It is just a black yarn. I picked up 2 of them because my nephew, my oldest nephew Josiah, he has started wanting socks, and he likes dark plain colors. So I picked up 2. Most likely one will be knitted during summer sock camp in the next couple of months for him, and then the other one will likely be a textured sock or something like that for Christmas. So I picked up 2 of those because it's, in my opinion, it's hard to find hand-dyed black yarn, and that's my preference. I can also just use commercial yarn. So in the future, we'll probably have to pick up some of that. Phew, I feel like I'm rushing through this. Let's take a chill. Let's get some water. Have a little sip with me. All right. So, the last acquisition I have is my Long Dog Yarn of Enchantment for May. It is mid-May, so I would assume most everyone has gotten their yarn. But just in case, if you haven't, then you may want to skip ahead just a little bit to not spoil it. But here is the card that came with it. So it says, "Greetings from Lincoln Co." And it is Billy the Kid. So I'll hold that, and you can pause and read if you would like. But the inspiration is Billy the Kid, and so this is the photo that is used, which is pretty cool. And then here is the yarn, which is 100% up my alley. Give me some greens and grays. Let's do it. This is on her merino sock base, which is 85-15. And this one will be put directly into the pile to make socks for summer sock camp. So that is all the acquisitions that I have. And now, if you are interested in summer sock camp, I'm going to talk just a little bit about some of my plans for the next month or so. And so if you'd like to stick around for that, if not, completely understand, and I will see you next time if that is the case. All right, let's talk about some summer sock camp plans. So if you are not familiar with Summer Sock Camp is, it is a make-along that is hosted by the Crazy Sock Lady here on YouTube. And it is basically that. It is a make-along to make socks. It is, let's see, I participated in 2021, so this will be my 4th year participating. It is a lot of fun. I always like to challenge myself with new patterns, new textures, new techniques, with more socks than I've knitted before. And so this is my favorite time of year for knitting, is to just make a whole bunch of socks. So I wrote down some of my plans, and I'm going to take a moment to look back at my 2nd episode, I think, where I talked about summer sock camp, maybe not. No. I don't see any notes about summer sock camp from before, so we're just gonna wing it. Last year I started recording this podcast, back in August, and so that was around the time summer sock camp was. I talked a little bit about it, but I don't think I ever gave you guys or wrote down what my final counts were for summer sock camp. At least I'm not seeing that in any of my notes here. So I believe I had around 29 pairs of socks that I knitted in June, July, and August of last year, which was during summer sock camp. So my goal this year is to knit 30. So that would be 10 pairs every month. That is a big goal, and it does not matter if I make it or not. That is just a stretch goal for myself, is to knit one more pair than I knit last year. The first year that I knit socks, I made one pair a month. So I ended summer sock camp with 3 pairs. The next one, I think I was around 15. And so I upped it to 20 and made almost 29. So it is a fun challenge to knit as many as possible. I know a lot of people at my local yarn shop are doing they're participating as well. Some of them are knitting socks for the first time. Some of them it's their first time participating. They learned how to make socks this year. So it's just a fun, all over way to knit things together and learn new things. So I'm going to post a picture. I'll probably just put it all over my face so that you can see better. It's a terrible picture unless I go outside and take a better one. But this is a picture of some of the yarns that I have wound up for summer sock camp. This should get me through the first month. We'll see. Sometimes when I get to the end of my stash of wound yarn, I will wind some more, and sometimes some of them will be kicked back. But this pile includes Leading Men Fiber Arts. It includes Long Dog Yarn. It includes Mustache Yarns. It includes Super Glow Fiber Co. And then I also have planned, which is not pictured here, I have a ball of Regia Perfect. I have a ball of that I would like to knit up, and also a pair of Trekking XXL that I would like to knit up as well. So those are not included in the picture, but they are in my first month plans. Most of these will probably be vanilla, especially the self-striping and like the mustache yarns and things like that. Most of them will probably be vanilla, made for myself, my sister, my grandma, the kids, something along those lines. But there are a couple patterns that I plan to make during summer sock camp. I don't know when they'll come up. It just kind of whenever the yarn feels like it wants to be a pattern. These are the plans that I have, and I'll post pictures of them here while I'm talking about them. One of the first ones that I would like to knit is this pair of socks, which is called Titty Gaga Socks, which is by Nancy Wheeler, and this is the sock pattern that she released this year in support of breast cancer. And so when it was released, there was a short period of time where if you purchased it, the proceeds would go to breast cancer research and support. So I would like to knit up these in a yarn. I also have several patterns. Oh my gosh, my words are getting tied up. I also have several patterns by Kelly Menzies or Roro and Cades that I purchased about a month ago. I went through and purchased some of her socks, which is the Khorasan socks, the Stormseeker socks, the Vials of Sand socks, and Under the Hill socks. So all of those are by Kelly Menzies, and I'd like to work those in during summer sock camp. And then I also have the Serene socks by 3 by the Sea that I would like to work up as well. So those are just some of the new ones that I have not worked up yet. And then of course I have the Rhinebeck Roomies, which is my favorite pattern by the Crazy Sock Lady. I have Whispers in the Wind. I have, I can never remember the full name. It's the Dragon socks that the Crazy Sock Lady has. Dragons in the Night, maybe? That sounds correct. Dragons in the Night. I have the Rainbow Connection socks by her, and then the Meet Me at the Nook socks. So I have all of those socks in there. Of course, I have the Arrowroot socks by Kelly Menzies. I have the Most Ardently socks by Kelly Menzies. I have many socks. I know I have one that has like acorns at the top. I have the honey it's cold out socks, lots of different patterns, and I am very excited to try those. I also have both of the 52 Weeks of Socks books that I can pull out and work from those. So there are a lot of plans, probably not enough time to knit them all, but I would like to work through quite a few pattern socks during summer sock camp this year. So that is the summer sock camp plans. I will just briefly touch on some lifey stuff. So the lifey stuff. Geez, my brain was like, we don't need to talk about lifey stuff. Let's get rid of it. So I'm still walking and working for work, walking and listening for work. And I am currently on CEOs Are Lazy. I am not particularly enjoying this book as much as I have the past books. I don't know if maybe it's the style of writing or what. It's just not something that I am super engrossed in, but I'm about halfway through. So finish this book, and then I have another one already lined up. So that's still going on. Still watching One Piece. That is my main show that I am watching, and then of course podcasts and YouTube videos and things like that. So that's really all in watching. That's about it. That's all the lifey stuff that I have for you today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you have not already, please consider clicking the subscribe button. It makes my day whenever I see that there's a new subscriber in the community. And you can click the like button to let YouTube know that you like this video, and it will share it with other people who have similar interests, as well as commenting, letting me know what your plans are for summer sock camp. What is your goal for summer sock camp? Is it your first time participating? Are you making your first pair of socks? Are you making your umpteenth pair of socks? What is your plans? I would love to hear from you and what you have in store for the next couple of months. I will see you guys